Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. 2026 also marks the 25th anniversary of the deployment of Australian Defence Force personnel to Afghanistan in support of Australia's military commitment to the War on Terror. Over 35,000 Australians served in Afghanistan or in support in the Middle East area of operations. While most were from the Australian Army, they were supported by the Royal Australian Air Force aircraft and personnel, while the Royal Australian Navy patrolled the Persian Gulf. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Mervyn John McDonald, who lost his life while serving in Afghanistan on the 30th of August 2012. We warmly welcome his family who are in attendance and also warmly welcome all veterans who served in Afghanistan and their families and friends who have joined us for this evening's ceremony. Lance Corporal McDonald's story will be told shortly by Captain Ryan Malcolm from the Australian Army, who served alongside Lance Corporal McDonald in Afghanistan. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge Chief of Army and member of the Council of the Australian War Memorial, Lieutenant General Susan Coyle, and member of the Council of the Australian War Memorial, Wing Commander Sharon Bowen. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. For those who are able to do so, you may now be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us during war and on operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Mervyn John McDonald. Mervyn McDonald was born in Carnarvon, Western Australia on the 1st of February 1982. He was the third of four sons to Neville and Myrna McDonald. Roger and Gary were his older brothers, Percy was the youngest. Merv first attended school in Derby in the Kimberley region of Western Australia. He later went to high school in Australand, a town on the coast just north of Bunbury. McDonald was very active in sports, especially Aussie rules, cricket and basketball. He had a special passion for the natural beauty of his home state. He would often be out four-wheel driving or going for bushwalks. but his favourite place was the ocean. Merv just loved being in the water, and the beach was his second home. On the 31st of May 1999, Merv joined the Australian Army aged 17 and was posted to the 1st Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment. Between October 2000 and June 2007, he served 4 separate tours of East Timor. In August 1999, the people of East Timor were given the opportunity to vote for independence from Indonesia. Following an overwhelming response in favour of independence, pro-Indonesian militia groups, some backed by elements of the Indonesian military and police, reacted with violence. An estimated 1,500 civilians were killed and hundreds of thousands forced to flee. Australia deployed military forces to East Timor in September as leaders of the UN-sanctioned International Force East Timor in order to stop the violence and restore order. On the 25th of October 2000, 1st Battalion RAR Group took over the role of the Australian Battalion of the United Nations Transitional Administration in East Timor. Their mission was to provide security to the people of East Timor so civil infrastructure and government systems could be re-established. Tactically, they achieved this through a program of robust patrolling to deny the militia access into East Timor. In late April 2001, one RAR was relieved and returned to Australia. They went back to East Timor for a second tour in May 2003, then in 2006 and 2007. Merv McDonald was amongst those of the battalion who returned to the troubled fledgling nation following a resurgence of violence and civil unrest. His service in East Timor now over. In August 2008, Lance Corporal Mervyn McDonald completed his selection and training course and was posted to the 4th Battalion Commando, the Royal Australian Regiment. He first deployed with this new unit to Afghanistan in March 2009, beginning a succession of tours to the country. In June 2009, 4RAR was renamed the 2nd Commando Regiment. They formed part of the Special Operations Task Group, taking the fight to the enemy Taliban. About the end of 2010, Merv met Rachel Sprigg McKinney in Melbourne. The two fell in love, and soon after, Rachel moved to Sydney to be where Merv was based. Before long, they were engaged. In 2012, Merv's father died, and Merv travelled home to be with his family. Just months later, in July 2012, Merv deployed on his 6th tour to Afghanistan. There, he was a member of a drug enforcement element. This team made regular raids via helicopters targeting Taliban drug-making and disruption activities. Along with drugs, they often discovered caches of weapons and explosives. One such operation was scheduled for the early hours of the 30th of August 2012 in Helmand Province. Merv was part of a 6-man team of Australians being flown into their objective in a United States Marine Corps UH-1 Yankee Vermin helicopter. Shortly after 2 a.m, they descended towards their landing zone. Merv McDonald and his 2 commando comrade, 23-year-old Private Nate Gallagher, were sitting at the right-hand door, ready to step off. But the pilots, using night vision goggle, lost orientation and missed DLZ. Not realising how close to the ground they were, a dense dust cloud from the rotor downdraft further hampered them. The chopper then drifted to the right and the rotor blade struck a ridgeline. This made the chopper pitch over and crash on its right side. McDonald and Gallagher were either thrown or fell to the ground, with the chopper landing on top of them almost instantaneously. The survivors, some badly injured, frantically tried to get the aircraft off them, but it was too heavy and it wouldn't budge. Trapped beneath, both Merv and Nate died. Merv McDonald was 30 years old. The remains were brought back to Australia and honoured in a ramp ceremony at RAF Base Richmond, led by the Chief of Defence Force, General David Hurley. McDonald's remains were returned to Western Australia. He was farewelled at a funeral service with full military and state honours at St Benedict's Catholic Church in Applecross, Perth on the 17th of September 2012. Lance Corporal McDonald was remembered as a dedicated, enthusiastic and highly professional soldier, though retaining a quiet nature and humility. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among the 47 Australians who died during or as a result of their service in Afghanistan. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Mervyn John McDonald, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and the hope of a better world.
If you are able, I invite you to please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary, nor the years condemn. At the going down the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.